Greatness, it's what you are. You rise before the sun. You're fast on your feet, never dulling. You're not waiting for your time to come.
Hi people, how you doing? My name is Seun, Shobo. Yes, I am the brand master. And of course, you're listening to Mastermind with Mr. G. Don't touch that dial.
You are now part of the social experiment.
See now where my limit is. Only got no ohs. It's like they just wanna see you struggle. I swear they don't wanna see you shine. They don't. It's like they just want you to bleed and they want you to fall. They don't want you to be where the streets are paved with gold.
Welcome to Mastermind, the home of Black excellence and self-mastery. Here's your host, Mr. G.
Welcome to the program. Thank you for joining us today on the journey towards self-mastery. Our next guest hails from Lagos, Nigeria. He's a brand and media consultant, as well as a voiceover artist, vocalist, entrepreneur, and author. He is known as the brand master for his ability to help startup companies and brands gain global recognition. He has been part of the voiceover industry for well over 2 decades. He's the founder of the Voiceover Academy, Africa's first voiceover company, as well as the Voiceover Bank, which is the largest pool of voiceover talents in Africa. He created his company to transform and disrupt the voiceover industry from irrelevance to global relevance, while highlighting African voices along the way. He's an author of the book Vocab that serves as a workbook for inspiring voiceover artists. He's also part of the Voice and Speech Trainers Association, where he sits as the first African and Nigerian board director. He has voiced some of Nigeria's biggest and longest running commercials, as well as documentaries, podcasts, radio ads, and the list goes on and on. Let's welcome today the brand master himself, Mr. Shobo, to the program. Mr. Shobo, pleasure to have you. How you doing today, sir?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you for having me. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here with you, Mr. G.
Yes, sir, man.
Sure.
Definitely an honor, man, to have you on. I admire the work that you're doing to get African voices global recognition, and it's something that I think should have been happening. And I think I'm glad you're doing it, because there's something rich and amazing and just inspiring about hearing a rich African Black voice that we don't get enough of in the voiceover industry. So I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. Appreciate it, sir.
A lot of people might not be familiar with, Nigeria in regards to the how every day is like over there and the country itself. So before we get started, I know you have a deep love and a passion for your country, for Nigeria. So can you share with, yes, sir. For those of us that don't know, man, can you tell us kind of a little bit about Nigeria and what it was like for you growing up in Nigeria?
All right, for people that don't know what Nigeria is all about, or where Nigeria is West Africa. And in Africa, it's the western part of Africa, with about over 200 million people in population. I was actually born in the UK, London to be precise. My mom gave it to me as a single mother, and she came back to Nigeria. Well, everybody always said, "Oh, so you should be a British citizen." I'm not a British citizen. I'm a Nigerian citizen. So I came back to Nigeria, and my mom was a banker. My dad was an engineer who was actually in America. He schooled in Indiana, right before he go back to Nigeria. He was a major entrepreneur. Was selling cars. Well, he was married already, but met my mom, and things happened. And here am I. But growing up was fun. Was a bit lonely because I didn't grow up with my dad. I just grew up with my mom. My mom basically trained me. But I mean, I saw my dad once in a while. But and when you go around, when you were younger, everybody goes with their mom and their dad. So you just wanted, But as we grew up, we understood better how everything was. The circumstances surrounding everything that happened, and I mean, we're able to handle it better, and here we are today, doing great stuff, right? But Nigeria, I'm very passionate about Nigeria. I think it's a land with so much potential, so many opportunities. For us, it's just a bit of the system, which we're hoping that we get a great leader who would help us transform things, make it better. But trust me, we are kings in Nigeria. We are, look at the music, entertainment, whatever it is, just name it. Nigerians are there. We are there.
Yes, part of the stuff I love about Nigeria. Some of my good friends are Nigerian, man, and I just love the culture and the fashion.
We are proud of our culture. We are so proud. I'm proud of my culture. I love it. For example, my wife graduates tomorrow. I'm gonna wear my Nigerian regalia with my cap. No doubt. I'm not wearing any suit or anything. I'm wearing my native, my cultural wear. I love it. I feel good in it. I feel like a king when I wear it every time. Some people always say, "Oh, don't you feel like you're different?" Yeah, I am different.
Yeah, man. I love that. Love that. Yeah, man. Before we even dive, I kind of want to dive into your childhood growing up in Nigeria as well, and how things became what they are now. But before we get into that, another missing piece that I think a lot of us don't know about, because there are not that many Black people in the voice, over industry. So before we get started on your life and everything, can you give us a little bit of, voiceover industry 101 for those of us that are not aware of the industry and the role that Black people fit into the industry, and what's just out there as far as opportunities and things like that?
So the voiceover industry is actually a massive industry. Globally, I think right now it should be about $60-something billion worth, about the value, the market value presently. And one thing I noticed before the vision of the Voiceover Academy started was the fact that nobody was telling African stories, one. Two, we discovered that the voices of Black and African people was actually kind of, swamped. Nobody was making it known to people that, and we didn't really have a seat on the table. For example, I went for a global conference. I came for a global conference in 2018 or 2017 in Atlanta. And it was supposed to be an international conference, right? And there was an international panel, and the international panel had people from Europe, it had people from America, it had people from Canada, it had people from the Espanol side of things, and I think somebody's from Asia, but there was no African there. And I'm like, there's nothing international about this.
Absolutely.
There's nothing international about this. And what was surprising for me, or what was surprising to me, was that it was a Black man who was running the conference. Wow. So I was wondering, why won't an African be here? If you say this is an international panel, you should have an African.
Yes,
but
sir.
I now went back and I thought to myself, why is this happening? And I thought to myself, well, really, nobody is really making it known what African voiceover talents are doing. And the truth is, we bring so much flavor to the industry because of our culture, right? Our accents, are unique. It's just unique. No one country in Africa speaks the same way, right? There's such a flavor. The variety is so much, and there's so much we bring to the table. For example, when Black Panther came out, everybody went haywire, right? Everybody went haywire. Why? Because they've never seen such variety, right? Even though it was just some part of Africa, but they hadn't seen that type of variety. The world had not seen it. So they loved the story. They loved the fact that it was African, it was diverse, and that is what the world needs, really. Africa, the Black race it's unique.
Yes,
and
sir.
Somebody needs to be that person telling that story. And the voiceover industry won't be different, right? It's already happening majorly in the music scene, but the voiceover industry won't be. And that's why we are here, doing what we know how to do best, right?
Yes, sir. And speaking of Black Panther, I know you just mentioned Black Panther.
Yes, sir.
I was thinking, like in Black Panther, you got T'Challa, he's or the actors per se, right? The actors in Black Panther are a lot of African American actors that are, attempting African accents. So I was wondering like what the take is like as far as Africans in Africa goes when they look at a movie like the Black Panther and it's not as much Africans that are African born and more African Americans that are attempting African accents, like how that's viewed and what your take is on that.
Yeah, I personally had a problem with that. What you just said now, I had a problem with it. When I was watching it, I was like, why will this be happening? Like, if you wanted Africa, just cast African voices, cast African actors, right? So that we can hear the real way Africans talk, right? Because that was trained, they trained for that. And really, that's not how Africans talk. Now, the southern part of Africa sometimes sound like that. In fact, most times sound like that. But the western part of Africa, no. The eastern part of Africa, no, right? They're different parts. The northern part of Africa, no, right? So for me, I was like, this is not how we speak. Like, I'm like, my brother, what are you doing there? Yeah, brother, no, that's not how we speak. So it's there's a way we melodiously use our words, and that is what they should have looked for, not using that accent, not trying to use an attitude to speak how we speak. I actually spoke to the casting director of Disney, who says that they bought Marvel, because Marvel, so yeah. So I spoke to her and said, she was talking about them also turning Black Panther to a cartoon. And I said, you know what? I think you shouldn't do what you did for the movie. I think you should come to Africa and actually cast real African voices, right? You're going to do that. But for me, I wasn't really cool with it because I felt they didn't really portray Africa for what Africa was. Yes, the story was good, but that wasn't really what Africa was.
I'm just so glad that you are able to answer this, because I was just thinking about it the minute the movie came out. I'm like, dang, like it's cool, like the way they portray and everything, but is everything accurate, right?
Yeah.
Is somebody, born in Nigeria, born in other parts of Africa, gonna look at this and be proud, you know what I'm saying? Or are they gonna look at it and say like, yo, what happened to us? Like, just like you're saying right now. And I think that you're right. There should have been more of a mix in there where they could have got people, African people, along with, I guess, the African Americans, and more of a natural role with everything, man. So
yeah, and that's why I'm so passionate about what I'm doing, because we also have a fault, because the reason why they do some of those things is that we don't put ourselves out there. We're not as visible, so they're not able to say, "Oh, come, let's ask you, how should this be done?" And which is what I am trying to do for the industry. So there's an award now. There's an award for like the Oscars for voiceovers. It's called the Voice Arts Awards, and I think they've been running for a lot of years now. I think it's almost a decade, or the ninth one was last year. I think the next one will be the 10th one. And trust me, they have never had any category that has to do with Africans or stuff. So when I went there last year, he was in New York last year. I was there live and direct, and I said, you know what? I spoke to the CEO. I said, you should start doing something for Africa, right? Just imagine I wasn't there. Just imagine, somebody else may have done it, but for me, that was majorly fulfilling for me, because this year they're starting the African category.
Awesome, right? Awesome.
That's
amazing, man. And speaking of that, man, did you ever think about making a base for that, like in Africa? Because you do have the first voiceover academy in the continent, man. Like, so did you ever think about making your own awards and doing it on that platform?
Of course. There's so many things in the pipeline that we'll be thinking about, having a conference, an international conference, and also an award. But the truth is, for me, I don't like doing mediocre stuff, right? I like to make sure that there's a form of, when we're able to leverage or collaborate with the one here in America for it, everybody now shifts to African talent and says, "Oh, these guys are something to watch," right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, while the eyes are on us, we now say, "You know what? We want to do something too. We have something that we can do. We want you to." But if the eyes are not on us and we just start doing stuff without any bars around it, we are able to. We just it's just like, guys, what are you doing? Nobody's watching us. You've seen what we're doing, right?
Gotcha.
I always tell people, when you see a bigger platform, collaborate with them, right? When you're able to collaborate with them, you get the world's attention. When you get the world's attention, right, you are now able to start yours and say, you know what, here we are. This is what we do.
That makes sense. Yeah. All right, bringing it back to your life, Sean.
Yes, sir.
In Nigeria, man. I kind of want to know that journey that you had, finding your voice and the power in your voice, and just growing up and growing into like the person that you are today. So can you walk us through some of your experiences that kind of led the way to the person we see today?
All right. So it started when I was younger in the 90s. I would use like cassette players. I would put cassettes in the stereo, and I would press record with my cousin, and we just talk to the press record. I would play back again. We hear our voices. They're like, yo, that's it. And then we used to do that, and then we also sometimes recreate ads that we hear. But I never knew it was anything like voiceover. I just said, like, we're just having fun. Really.
Yeah.
It became something that was very just easy for me. So in my second year in university, somebody invited me for a talent, not a talent hunt, but it was a talent company, a talent agency that was trying to recruit singers. And I try to sing sometimes. So they were trying to recruit singers who will be singing for commercials, who they will pay. So this guy invited me, a friend of mine invited me, and I went there when I was chosen. In fact, as I was chosen that night, I started working, and I was paid my first fee, which was 3,500. That was really little, 3,500 naira. It was so that's
3,500 naira.
Yeah,
I might have to convert that to US.
A dollar now is say 600 naira. A dollar is 600 naira. So that should be about maybe like $3 to $4. It's under $5. Under $5, So that's what I was paid. My first job, right? But it wasn't voiceover. It was actually, I just sang. And so the guy who owned the talent agency heard my voice and he's like, I like that guy's voice. Like, he has a strong voice. Wow. And so he called me and he says, why are you not doing voiceovers? I'm like, yeah, I heard about it. I've heard people have told me about that, And he's like, you should be doing voiceovers. This is a voiceover voice, like this voice. So he told me to go into the booth and I started recording. I was just goofing around and it was like, this guy is good. This guy, he went all on and on. And he took my demo. He recorded my voice, took my demos, started taking it to agencies, and I started getting jobs here and there. I was getting a lot of jobs. But there was one particular job that was in 2003. It was for a bank in Nigeria, rumored to be like Nigeria's greatest ad, right? It was called the Sky Bank, saying yes to your dreams. So I did that, and my voice went like AYR everywhere. It was everywhere in Nigeria. It was even on CNN, everywhere, right?
Wow.
For me, and I was really paid very low. Put in mind, the ad ran for 15 years.
Wow. So you got paid a one-time thing? Like,
I got paid a one-time thing because I was just starting. I didn't really know anything. I just was doing it, enjoying it. I didn't know that I was gonna get to a time where I was gonna do a commercial that was gonna go really viral.
Wow.
And run for 18 years, right?
And just for some context though, like How
Yeah.
would it look if you got a good contract? Like, how would that look? Like, how much
Oh,
money
that
would
would
that
have
be?
been fantastic. I would be paid royalties. If it was now, if it's what I know now,
Right.
I will be paid. I'll be a major guy balling, right? But what that did for me was when I found out that, I was cheated, I started researching about the business of voiceovers, right?
Right. Hmm.
So that pain caused me to start researching about the business of voiceovers.
Hmm.
And that is why I have what I have now, and I know what I know now, and
Hmm.
I make the kind of money I make now, right? Because of that experience. So
Right.
that experience basically shaped my life, my career, in a very positive way.
Yeah. So I want to kind of like go back to that experience just for
Yes,
people
sir.
that, let's say somebody's coming into the voiceover industry right now, so
Mhm.
they don't have to experience what you experience. Like, let's say the same exact thing happens. They go to, a company and company loves their voice and everything, and they're negotiating the pay now. Like, what is a good pay? What is bad? Like, what are some good deals and what are some bad deals so that, people have an idea of what they should be aiming for?
Well, I mean, actually depends on the project, right? The
Mm.
project will depend on what a good pay is or not, right? But I always tell people, for example, if you're in Nigeria, anything that is less than 40,000 naira, 40,000 naira, 50,000 naira, which is about, I would say $100,
Right.
the US currency. Um, anything lower than that, for whatever job it is, whatever it is. But that is even still, when you compare it to the US currency, it's really small, right? But for US people, I know that, you can go as much as $1,000, per work,
Mm.
um, $2,000, $3,000, depending on, but it depends on the project. So it could be a one-liner, it could be a whole script, 30 seconds commercial, it could be an audiobook. Audiobooks are a lot of money. People make as much as $6,000-$7,000 on audiobooks.
Wow.
Oh yeah, yeah.
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 So definitely money in the voiceover industry.
Oh,
Definitely.
there is a lot of money. There is a lot
Yes,
of money.
sir.
But the thing about audiobooks is you have to have the stamina, to read for that long. So you want to read for 12, 13 hours, maybe you could break it down. But that's why they pay them a lot of money, because it requires, apart from your voice having the right inflections, you must be able to have the stamina to keep reading with the same, not the same tone, but with the same energy, right? Yeah. So that's yeah.
It's interesting, man. Speaking of that too, man, like with voice, like with your voice, everybody uses their voice. You
Mhm.
use your voice, not outside of just the industry, but right now, I'm a teacher, like I'm using my voice all the time.
Exactly.
Podcasters using their voice.
Mhm.
You might be making a speech or you might have a project or
Yeah,
some sort of business deal. Like the voice is like one of our most powerful tools that we have,
it
in
is.
our disposal.
Mhm.
How do I go about, like, if I'm not 100% sure how to use my voice, how do I go about mastering it, learning it, and then
Mhm.
developing it in a way that's going to allow it to work for me?
Right. Okay. So there's a concept that we developed at the academy, which is called vocal awareness, right? There's something about, just like self-awareness, right? When it comes into emotional intelligence. Vocal awareness is basically the art of understanding your voice and using it to your advantage, right?
Right.
And that requires a lot of things. It requires a lot of voice essentials, understanding voice essentials like breathing, vocal exercises, your vocal health, your notes, the kind of notes that you use when you are talking to people, the physiology of the voice, the head voice, whether you're using the head voice, your chest voice, or your mid-range voice, knowing the kind of voice to wear at every point in time for different scenarios. For example, if I'm at a business meeting, my pitch won't be as high as this, right? It will be definitely lower the way I'm speaking right now. That is how I'm speaking at a business meeting. Because why?
Mm.
This kind of voice requires some form of authority. It's a form of authority, and people with this kind of voices are trusted more from research. Now that is my chest voice, right? Now, increasing my pitch. This is my mid-range voice, right? And my mid-range voice is for things like this, interviews. I'm training people, because if I keep speaking like that at a training with my chest voice, I would actually bore people. I will bore people and you probably sleep off, because most times that chest voice sounds monotonous. But if you're at a business meeting where you just have 2-3 people, yes, you can use that, because it brings some form of presence into the room, right? So there's something called vocal awareness that people need to understand. When they understand how to use their voices to the advantage, it actually makes things different. So as a teacher, as a presenter, you must know what voice or what part of your voice to wear at every point in time. So if you're with your students, for example, you're teaching your students, I don't expect you to use your chest voice to teach your students. And your chest voice is your deepest range, right? I expect you to use your mid-range voice at every point in time. I expect that when you talk, you color your words. You color your words from time to time. There's some rhythm with because when things are monotonous, it bores people. And, even though no matter how captivating your voice may be, you might lose them in the middle of things, right? So for example, you have a podcast now. If you're a podcaster, I always say, try to be as melodious as possible when you're presenting, and also try to always maintain the energy that you started with. If not, at the middle, if the energy drops, people will realize and they probably switch off, right? And you don't want that.
Man, the gems, man. Appreciate that. Might have to sign up for your class, man. That's good stuff.
Bro, feel free.
Yes, sir. Going back into your story, man. So you do this gig and it ends up blowing up, getting recognition everywhere.
Yes, sir.
Were people in Nigeria like stopping you, like, yo, Sean, I saw you in the, or were they familiar with who you were?
That was actually the problem. A lot of only people who knew that I was doing that work were the ones really talking about it and spreading the word that, oh, Shobo did that, Sean did that. But a lot of people did not know, right? So until I started saying it and I started bringing it out, that's when people started saying, oh, so you did that? Oh, why? He's the one. Even at the Voiceover Academy till now, when I give my lectures, I always play the video and I say, I did that. And people are like, because that was one of their favorite acts. And they're like, what? You did that? Oh my God, I'm with a star. I'm like, no. But for me, I was just paying that my voice was everywhere, but my pockets was not everywhere in terms of money.
The company that used your voice, like, how much would you say that they profited off of that, just that ad?
Bro, that ad changed the game for them. Right? It changed the game for them. Go and ask anybody you know in Nigeria about Skybank. It's changed the game for them. However, they had a corrupt leader or corrupt CEO at some point who swept off all their money. So the bank had to change their name. They had to change their name. It was terrible. It was a terrible time for them. But I think maybe karma,
I was just going to say that.
Yeah, maybe, right?
Yes, sir.
But I mean, I even tried to sue them, but they told me I didn't have a direct contract with them. So I don't have any right to sue them, and they had a point legally. So you can see those kind of things because there was an agency between us. So they have a business with the agency, not me.
Gotcha.
Right. So those are things that I started understanding in the place of the business of voiceovers. Right. Talking about licensing. So for example, if it was the agency that gave us the job, there's something called licensing, which would have if we licensed it for 3 to 6 months, right? After 6 months, if they're going to use it again, they're going to pay me again, right? If they use it for another 6 months, so just imagine they use it for six months for 18 years. Of course, I'm going to make a lot of money. So I started understanding that. I started understanding usage fee. So if you use my voice on radio, my pay is different from using my voice on TV. The pay is different from using my voice on social media.
Really?
Yeah.
Can you break down like cheaper to more expensive?
So TV and radio are really expensive. Social media next. and then the rest follow, right? But TV and radio are the most expensive when it comes to usage fee. If you're going to use my voice, and they have those laws here in America,
Right.
and they actually implement it, which is very good. Brands implement it, and that's good. That's good for the US. But in Africa, they're just getting to understand it. So just in trickles, brands are, yeah.
Got you. So at the time that all of this is happening, where you're getting all this publicity for your voice and everything, was that the same time that you were doing your brand master work and working with brands?
Yes. So it was then, because one of the things that I used to do when they gave me scripts to voice was I would go research. I used to do a lot of research. I was just so curious, right? I had a very curious mind. So when it gave me a script, Shobo, you're going to be voicing this, I would always ask myself, why is this brand? Why are they choosing to do this campaign? What is the idea or the rationale behind this campaign? So I would go read up on it, research the brand, check out why the brand is doing that. And then it just showed me that I was interested in brands. So I went to a brand school called Orange Academy, and I did a war room session there. I did an IBX training there, where I got certified as a brand consultant. And that really helped me. It was like they opened a cage for me. Like I was a lion, but they opened a cage. So everything I saw was just brands. I always saw brands, differently. And that opened my eyes. And I started, and then my final year in school, with proceeds from voiceover, I registered my first ever company, which was a brand consulting firm called Idée. Idée, it was the French for idea. It was French meaning for idea, so it was a brand management firm. I started with a few of my friends, and we had a good time. It's still as the company still exists still now, but it's still on a low key.
All right. So as far as like the branding goes, I know you got the name Brand Master from working with brands and getting them from a local level to a global level. So what do you think it takes, like in regards to like when people start up their company and they have like these global visions, like what does it take to get you from startup to global?
Okay, so I always tell people, like, especially for Black people, like, one of the things I respect about other races is, when they start a brand, right, they look for what is the core idea behind that brand. And they try to, they build it, no matter how slow it is, they still follow that core idea. They don't divert, they just focus, right?
Right.
And one thing I noticed about Africans, especially Nigerians, is when we start something, we don't even have and that core idea is what in branding, some people call the brand DNA, right? What is the DNA of your brand, right? And the DNA of your brand really talks about the authenticity that you bring to the table, right? What is that different thing? What is that uniqueness? What is that essence, that different thing that you bring to the table as a brand? Once you have it documented, it helps you, especially as regards your brand's vision and the rest of that. A lot of people have business plans when they start businesses, startups, and the rest of that. But I always ask, do you have a brand plan, right? Somebody will say, oh, but our business plans have marketing plans. No, people should always realize that a brand is like a living thing. When you start it, it's very hard to kill. You can't kill a brand, right? The brand can actually die a natural death, but you cannot just kill a brand that was started, because once you appear, it's always very hard to just disappear, right? So people must realize that brands must realize that, one, it is very important to make sure that you have a brand DNA, your core idea. What is that thing that differentiates your brand from the rest of all the brands? I can mention so many brands that have their DNA and it's working for them. But I mean, this is a podcast, so we don't want to call brands and the rest.
Not unless they're paying that money. Yes,
exactly.
Sir. Yes, sir.
So it's important for people to discover their authenticity, right? When you discover your authenticity, you are now able to sell it. Choose a way to sell it to the world.
Right.
Right. What is your essence? What is that brand essence that you want to sell to the world? Right. For me, that is where it begins. Well, that's where it all begins, and that's what makes a massive brand. So no matter how much you have forecasted for your business plans, a brand can actually be profitable, but it does not mean that it's going to be sustainable, right? Yeah, a brand. The fact that your brand is profitable doesn't mean that it's going to last forever.
Right.
Yeah, people must always realize that, and that is why you need a brand plan, because brands always evolve, right?
Gotcha.
So yeah, the brand doesn't just stay where it is. That's a very faulty way of thinking. When people say, "Oh, a brand," no, brands always evolve because the times evolve, right? We were using the typewriter before, right? Our parents were using typewriters. Now we went to Macintosh, the Macintosh, the big computers, the desktop. Now we went to laptops. Now people are using tabs, right? Very soon, we'll just get to our tables at the office and we'll just press a button and we'll start typing on the table. We're getting, look at now, everybody's talking about the metaverse, right? So life is evolving, right? So brands must also evolve. We get what I mean,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And speaking of brands, man, obviously you started the first voiceover company, in Africa. And I'm guessing like part of you mentioned like your motivation was just that first initial thing that occurred of you not getting paid what you deserve. So when was it that it struck your mind that I'm confident and good enough to go out on my own and venture into this industry? And then how did it go from like an idea in your head into the creation of what you have now?
Okay, so I'd always wondered why, I always wondered why nobody was talking about African voices, outside the country and even within the country, right? Especially with a lot of work they do. And I felt like a lot of people do not understand what voice talents do. Like, we are actually critical in the process of communication from one point to another. For example, during COVID, we're one of the first professions or careers that actually worked during COVID, even in spite of the lockdown. During the lockdown, my organization was working. Like, we're working from wherever we were, because for voiceovers, if you have a home studio or you have you understand the hack on recordings, they're able to do work. So
right.
People, because there was no human contact, people were communicating from point A to point B, and they needed voices to communicate, to do that communication for them, right? For example, with IVRs, interactive voice responses, when people call banks, it was the IVRs that would say, "Hi, welcome to Bank of America. To withdraw money or to transfer money, press 1. To do that, press 2," right? Those were voices doing the work, right? Or people that had hospital emergencies, they had IVRs as well, right? So voices were attending to a lot of things during the when the pandemic was really heavy. So it just shows you how critical the voices in the scheme of things. Today we're at a shop and they were doing like a self-pay. It was like a self-pay point, and the machine was saying $3.05. Now you check in, and I just told my wife and my sister-in-law that that's voiceover. We're everywhere. Everything is just voiceover. You enter a car or a bus or a train, you hear that as well, right? Educational toys, you hear it as well. You switch on your TV, you watch documentaries, the voice is there. A commercial or your commercial, if you're watching Shark Tank, commercials come on, at least 80% or 90% of those commercials have voices on them, right? You switch on radio, voices. We're talking on a podcast, voices, right?
Yes, sir.
Games, voices, right? So we're everywhere, right? So for me, it was very, very important to do something about that and let people start giving people the right perception about this industry. So I was inspired to just start it. I had it in mind for a while, but I was scared. I was really scared that, right, how would people accept it, right? Because as much as it was very critical in the scheme of communication, I also realized that a lot of people did not understand it. So I was like, I hope people won't, I hope people will really understand it. So we started it with a class. I called it the master course with the brand master, voice of a master course with the brand master. So we just wanted about 30 people for that training. And we got 40 people. Wow. And the first 10 minutes we put the flyer out for it, we got an alert, So for us, it was a big deal. Like, people are interested in this thing, right? People are really interested in this. And then we now started, we did that training. It was fantastic. We did the second one. In fact, the first one that was fantastic, I said, maybe it was a fluke. So we did the second one. And the second one too was a hit, right? So we just took the funds. I said, you know what, let's just register the academy fully. Now, a lot of people were not happy. A lot of people that were in the industry were happy that we were starting something like that, because they felt like we're going to be letting a lot of secrets out, what the
Are you talking about like outside of Africa or?
Yeah, inside Africa. Yeah. So they just felt like, oh, these guys are going to be letting a lot out. But for us, it was all a vision of actually educating more people and building a force, a force of global African voices, right? That was the whole idea. Right. That's the whole idea, right?
Yeah. So walk us through like that journey now, man. I'm sure everything wasn't perfect, or like, some of the trials and tribulations to kind of get you, to where you have, things now where, you're expanding globally, and, you've done so much work. I listened to a previous interview you did, and you say like sometimes when you listen to the radio, like you'll listen the whole time, and most of the ads that come on are from your voiceover company.
Yeah, I mean, so. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. It wasn't easy. I tell you, it wasn't easy because it was a lot of, it was daring. It was for us, it was daring. I mean, I had a class earlier today over there in Nigeria. I was communicating with them via Zoom, and somebody who was in the class was like, she's never been for a training like this. Like, it's just different, right? And for me, I just look back and I said, wow, we've come a long way, because we took a very major risk that a lot of people won't take. We took a lot of risk. But for us, it was, like I said before, it was a vision. The vision was to get African voices to have a seat on the global table, right? That was a vision. And I wasn't going to stop it for any damn person. I was just going to go on and on. So when I started seeing growth, I said, yeah, I think we're on the right path. That was the vision. Because, when you have a vision for something and you see something in front of you, you don't have time for who is talking about you at your back, right? You don't have time for who is trying to attack your vision, because the vision is in front, right? Those people talking are either by your side or at your back, right? So if you keep looking back and not looking at your vision, you're going to be distracted. And that distraction is going to bring a lot of accidents your way, right? You'll probably hit your head on something, or see something that's going to take you away divert you from where you're going. So what I always advise people is just keep going, just focus. It may not look too good, right? But when you start getting there, you will see that, when you get closer, when you're getting closer to the dream,
Right. So as far as you getting students and clientele, and, if I'm getting into the voiceover academy and I'm taking classes and things like that as a student, like what is it that I should be able to expect that by the time I come out of the program that I should have and be able to do?
Okay, yeah. I mean, in Nigeria, one of the things that we do is most of the alumni are they are moved to what we call the voice of a bank, and they get to record a demo, right? A free demo, where we give them their raw voice. They're able to use it to market themselves, but we also market them through the voice of a bank, right? So for a lot of people that came there, I'll give you an example. There's a lady who, in fact, she was one of the last people to register for her cohort. She was just gonna try the training out. And once I heard her voice, I was like, this is a star. This voice is a star in the making. I heard it. I just knew it.
What is it about the voice though that tells you that like this is it?
You know when your ears are really trained, right? You've done this for years. Your ears are really trained, and you know that voice that can stand out commercially if it's well trained. Like if you tune it well, it's just like the guitar. When you tune it very well, you're able to get the best sound from it, right? So that's what we do via training, right? We try to tune that voice, get those things that are not the impurities, right? That are not making it shine. And we try to polish it up and make it shine well. So I could hear that from that girl's voice. And I always say this. I always say there's a treasure in every voice. There's a treasure in every voice. People just need to understand what their vocal strength is. So not everybody might do voiceovers. Some people are going to be very good at presenting. For example, Martin Luther King Jr., right? Till today, no matter what you tell me, nobody can give that I have a dream speech like him. And this is years after, it still sounds as fresh as yesterday, right? So it's very, very, always find a way to make sure that you discover what your vocal strength is. From there, when she finished her training, she recorded a demo, and then we started sending her the demos out for jobs, and clients will pick her because her demo was good. And today, that lady has voice for tons of brands, right? That's one of the advantages of the academy. We're able to match you up with jobs, which we don't influence. Is the client, was the client likes your voice, they will choose it, because clients are always looking for fresh voices. And then another thing is that we have a community. Right now, we are the strongest and largest community of voiceover talents in Africa, right? We have about 750 alumni, but we have a group that harbors, we have a group that harbors about 250 to 300 of them, right? So there, a lot of opportunities are sent into the group. Collaborations happen there, questions that need answers, so we have a huge community. That for us is another advantage, and of course we're opening global doors for people, really, because that's, people always say that when it comes to VoiceOver Academy, you can't think local anymore. Like, you think global, right? You think global.
Got you. All right, so I graduated from the VoiceOver Academy, and I'm killing it right now. In your book, actually, Vocab, you mentioned that a lot of your former students, the way that they make it is through consistent content creation, right? So as far as content creation, is there a specific type of content that's gonna put me at a better place to get a good work as a voiceover artist? And then how often should I be promoting or using my content?
Okay, so one thing I saw today, I saw something on the streets of UPenn, and it says diligence is the mother of good luck, right? For people that are content creators, right, one of the things that you have to, one of the qualities that you have to have is consistency, right? The content that you might not do tomorrow might be the one that will go viral. So you always have to show up, right? That is the quality that a content creator must have, right? Because you just never know. And I always tell people because some people when they leave the VoiceOver Academy, they either start doing voiceovers fully or they start doing content creation. So they start using their voices to do other things, like maybe they have a vlog, they have a podcast, they do skits and the rest of that. And just one person who shares it just takes it viral. One of the alumni who graduated in 2019? Yeah, 2019 January. 2019 January. She graduated from the academy in 2019 January. That lady she was featured on CNN, right?
Wow.
Yeah, she was featured on CNN. She's a content creator, right? I told her, I said, you are for content creation. You know that. You know you're gifted for that. And when she came, she was still shy, but when she left, she started. Today, she's a major influencer in Nigeria. Major
That's
one.
amazing. That's amazing, man. That is amazing. Yeah. Now, obviously, you guys are competing globally as, a group that has not been in existence, and the field is dominated by, white folks pretty much as far as the voiceover industry. So what advice do you have for Black people going out into the space and in a world where it's dominated by mostly white voices? Like, what advice would you have for them to be successful?
Bro, stay unique. Stay unique. You're different. We are different. We bring the spice to the table. We bring the spice to the table. And this is not just me being overconfident. This is the truth. We bring the spice to the table because we bring a lot of variety to the table, right? So show up, give your best shot. Don't say, and that's what I always tell my fellow Black folks. Don't say, because I'm Black, it can be done in a mediocre way. No, be excellent. Be excellent, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, be excellent. Don't cut corners, right? Because you just want to make it work. No. Be excellent, because no matter how much is it, nobody abandons excellence, right? They might not just see it immediately, but they're gonna see it, right? And that's it. For me, I remember writing proposals as a brand consultant to different brands, right? A lot of them ignored, they did not answer, right? But when we started the Voiceover Academy, because they needed that value, a lot of those brands that I was chasing now started chasing me. You know what I'm saying? They started chasing me. So I'm like, just get your value together and make it excellent.
Yes, sir. Right? Yes, sir.
You're gonna look
yeah, man. And you have a wealth of information just about the industry and everything, including your workbook. So, if I'm listening to this, I'm like, yo, man, Sean really knows his stuff, and I want to get his, workbook and what he's written on the voiceover industry. How do you want people to use the workbook, and why did you write it?
All right, so I discovered that there were a lot of storybooks, novels on voiceovers. People talked about their experiences, which was good, and a lot of tips here and there. But those things, and they're good, but they're not realistic, right? They're not practical. So I wanted something like a textbook that people can actually read. They read a summary and they're able to write down their own journey. They're able to also plan their own journey with the information or the questions asked. Right. Because the workbook has 25 questions that you need to add to respond to if you want to advance your career in voiceover. So there are questions, and you write your answers down. When you write your answers down, you're also able to read it yourself and say, okay, where am I lagging behind as regards my career, right? So which is why it's called a workbook. It's for us to work together. It's a collaboration between myself, the author, and you, the artist, right? The voiceover artist. You're able to write down for example, what is your career vision? So I break down some types of people who are in the industry. If you're there just because you feel like your voice is good, you're part of the hobby gang. You're somebody who sees your voice as a tool of impact. You're part of the purpose gang, right? So no matter the gang you belong to, write your vision down according to your gang, right? So you're in the workbook too, you're able to discover your brand DNA. You're able to discover what your brand identity may be, right? So those things you're writing it yourself. You're feeling it. It's helping you think, and you're writing in real time, right?
Yeah.
So that's why it's a workbook, and that's why I decided to go a different way, not just write about my experience. People have read so much of that, so many motivational books like that, but I just wanted something that would carry people along as well.
Yeah. I definitely went through it, and it was even helpful for me. I was got me thinking about some things in regards to how I use my own voice, man. So appreciate that.
Oh, so you got it online? Yeah.
Yes, sir. I got yeah.
Amazing. On Amazon?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Oh, amazing.
Yep. Gotta support, man.
All right. Thank you, bro. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Yes, sir. All right. I want to get into a quick little activity here called "What's Your Favorite?" Just getting to know you a little bit more, identifying a few of your favorite things before we close out. So who's been the favorite voice actor that you've worked with?
Well, favorite voice actor I've worked with will be a lady in Nigeria called Rhoda. She's the studio session the last studio session we had was I think it was about, I think we spent like 10 minutes for 60-second script. It was so fast, right? It was so fast. And that ad was also another hit, right? It was everywhere. People were calling me like, "So that's your voice I hear, man, bro. Yeah." And like, "Oh, we got paid for this one." Right? And this one just ran for about 3 to 4 months, right? So that job with Rhoda, I think, was one of my favorite jobs. And she's one of my favorite people to work with. But one of the people, one of the voiceover talents I really want to work with is Morgan Freeman, right? Morgan Freeman. I want to do a narration duet with him. I would really, really look forward to that. I hope he'll probably watch this and call me up one of these days.
I would be honored if
Morgan
Freeman is tuning into Mastermind, man. Putting that into the universe.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
But there was also one of the most memorable days of my voiceover career was the day I interviewed Phil Lamar. Phil Lamar is the voice of Green Lantern.
I love his voice. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
And what's this? Samurai Jack as well.
Yeah. That just
Lamar.
Rich, deep. Very deep, masculine.
So during the lockdown, I was able to interview him from Nigeria. He was in the States here. It was such a privilege. I just wrote to him and he's like, "Oh, let's do this. That's awesome. It was cool. It was cool. I was so privileged that day. I was so privileged, to do that with him.
That's cool, man. That is cool. I know, like you travel too, and you get to meet. I was looking at your Instagram, and there's some people that you meet that do cartoon voice acting like that.
Exactly.
We grew up with that. And when you grow up as a kid, you don't think that a person is behind those cartoon voices.
Just never think,
to see the people that's actually behind these voices, like wow.
Yeah, you just never think so.
Yeah, man. What's your favorite way to warm up, like before you do a job? Like if you got a serious job, this is good money, it's gonna be a hit. How do you warm your vocals up? Like what is it that you do like that makes you comfortable?
Yeah, one thing I do is I do a lot of jaw exercises. Depending on the work, I do a lot of jaw exercises and then a lot of mouth exercises. For example, if I wanted my voice to sound deeper, right, before I get on the mic, and it's because if it's something that if it's a script that has to show some authority, maybe I wanted to do a payoff or an announcer, I could just go like, I'll do that for like 20 to 30 minutes. When I do that, my voice comes together and becomes deeper, right? If I want to project, I do some jaw exercises. If I want to get into character, if it's a playful script, I'm probably dancing. I'm playing some music and dancing and enjoying myself so that when I get there, I'm already in the mood, right? I'm in a very happy mood to get into that character. So for me, that's how it works. That's what I do. And I make sure that I drink a lot of water as well.
Ah,
whenever I have jobs. Yeah, there
what?
was a time I was very addicted to Coca-Cola. Well, and I don't want to call the brand soda, but a
Yes,
soda,
sir. Yes,
right?
sir.
I was really addicted to it at some point, but I had to stop it, because of my health and also the fact that it was affecting my voice as well.
Now I gotta ask you too. How would something like soda affect your voice, and what exactly does water do to really clear your voice up?
All right, so I'm glad you asked. So it's like it has a lot of caffeine, right? And what caffeine does is it gathers a lot of mucor around your throat area, right? Which blocks your voice from sounding the way it's supposed to sound, the
Mm,
original way it's supposed to sound. Um, it just clogs up around your throat here, and I'm sure you must have experienced it. You just have a bit of mucor and slippery stuff around your throat, so
I
that's
definitely know what you're talking about.
yeah. So that's one of the disadvantages of taking soda over and over. But when you take water doesn't even play your throat. What water does is it's hydrates your body and gets into your bloodstream, and your bloodstream is able to cleanse whatever it is around your throat, right? That's how it
Mm,
works most times.
got you. All right, no more coffee during podcast episodes.
Bro. You got to be careful of your vocal health. That's very
Yes,
important.
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Got you. What's your favorite style of job to have? I know we mentioned that you can do commercials, you can do radio ads, you can do TV ads, you
Mm-hmm.
can do an audiobook, you can do documentary. There's all
Mm-hmm.
type. The list goes on and on and on, right? So,
Yeah.
what's your favorite? Like when you get that job, you're like, yo, I love doing these. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. For me, I love commercials. I love really playful commercials that challenge me to be a character that I naturally will not be in life. I love commercials. I love documentaries. I love storytelling, right?
Uh-huh.
I love storytelling, especially storytelling that has to do with a lot of history, right?
Hmm.
History, biographies. I love it. I love it.
What kind of documentaries have you done, by the way, for those that don't know?
I've done documentaries for corporates, talking about their history. Some oil companies. I've done for some oil companies. I've done for some financial institutions. I've done for some humanitarian agencies. Like the
Mhm.
UN and the rest of that. So
Ah, okay.
I've done a lot of voiceovers, for documentary voiceovers for those brands, right?
Got you. And
I'm looking
speaking
forward to
of,
doing something for Nat Geo Wild and the rest of them,
mm,
hopefully soon.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. And speaking of your work, what's some of your favorite work to listen back on and just like, just be smiling like, yo, that was me. Like, that's
Bro, there are a lot. I don't think I have one favorite, but there are a lot. But they're okay. Well, let me. There's one of late, which was for a bank in Nigeria. Um, it was talking about a loan, right? It was a
yeah.
loan. I like the way I told that story because every time I hear it on radio, it always sounds so cool. Everybody needs a little help every now and then. Sometimes it's sugar or salt. Yeah, that was the way I said it. I could send it to you. You can play. Um, yeah, it was nice. I think that's one of my favorite jobs because it just always sticks. Always
Yeah,
sticks.
that's
Yeah.
awesome, man. And I've been listening to your different work, and it's like you could go anywhere, man. Like, with your
Bro,
voice, that's
I
amazing.
think God has blessed me with the gift of versatility.
Hmm.
I can be anything to anybody, right? But I always also say that my voice, because of the timbre in my voice, it doesn't naturally go for every kind of project, right?
Mm,
Even though I can be anything, right? But it doesn't naturally go for any type of project. So I also sometimes choose the kind of projects I get into or I voice for, so that I don't just commonize my voice, um, or do something that does not fit my voice or my voice doesn't fit there's something called the project fit when it comes to
Mhm.
voices, and that's why some clients choose us because we're able to say, okay, does this voice match what the story this person or this brand wants to tell?
Mhm.
If yes, yes or no, most times is a no. So we just use the one that actually fits that project itself, the voice that fits
Yeah,
that.
man. I know exactly what you're talking about because your voice kind of reminds me. I don't know if you know James Earl Jones, like the voice
Oh,
of
James Earl Jones, I love
Mufasa.
James Earl Jones, bro.
Yeah, your
That's my
voice kind of reminds me of
father.
that. Yeah.
Wow. That's humbling, bro. That's humbling.
Yeah, you can't just put that anywhere. It has to be like epic, like when you put, you know
Yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean? When
Oh
you
my
get
God,
that.
James Earl Jones is, he was one for a long time. It was his voice that was saying, I said, this is CNN. That
Yeah,
was his voice. This is CNN. That was his
yeah.
voice.
He has just such a powerful, like, it just
Powerful.
raises your attention right away. I think
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons that we all love the Lion King so much, man. Just hearing his voice,
My God, his voice, Mufasa. Wow, man. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Amazing.
Yeah, man. And of course, speaking of Nigeria, man, you got to get in. What's your favorite meal, man?
Oh, my favorite meal is,
Nigerian meal.
well, I have two of them. There is jollof rice and dodo. Dodo is called plantain, right? Fried
Mm.
plantain. I love it. I love it a lot. I love it so much. My wife sometimes just complains that you just love dodo too much. I love dodo a lot. I like pounded yam and egusi soup.
Soup.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, egusi soup is a type of soup with vegetables and melon seeds, right?
Mm.
Which is blended, right? It's amazing, beautiful. You should taste it one of these days. If you plan to come to Nigeria, I'll take you out.
Ah, man. We definitely got to set something up, man. Nigeria is
Sure.
definitely on my bucket list. So,
For
I
sure,
gotta
bro. But let me
definitely
know,
come over.
bro. Let me know.
Yes, sir. Yes,
I'll take
sir.
you around Nigeria, man. I'll take you around, especially Lagos, because you probably land in Lagos, right?
Yes,
Lagos
sir.
zones, right?
I'm excited, man. I'm excited. All right. Any
Yeah.
dessert with that? Any dessert?
Dessert. Well, dessert. I would say anything chocolate ice cream, chocolate cake. That works for me. That works for me.
Got you. And I know like you are a big time dancer, man. I was looking through your Instagram, popping up the
Bro, I
moves, man.
try, bro.
So what's your favorite Nigerian song like to dance to?
Whoa, my favorite Nigerian song right now. There is a guy in Nigeria called Gaze Baba. His name is Gaze Baba. The song is called Elijah Level, like Elijah Level. And what he was trying to say was, it's time for speed. Like, those things that you've never achieved, in like 5 years. In 1 year, you're gonna achieve what you've not achieved in 5 years. Like, that's what it's all about. It's called Elijah Level. It's called Gaze Baba. It's and it says that we run faster than a Ferrari. I like that song a lot. I also like Davido. Anything from Davido just works for me. I love Davido a lot. He
Yeah, you
just
can't
released a
go
song
wrong.
with the samples yesterday, and I listened to it. I love it. I love the song so much. So Davido just released the song with them.
Yeah, I love the video, man. He's great, man. I'm gonna
Yeah,
check out that song too. You just said.
yeah. Just
I haven't heard
just the song is called Stand Strong.
Definitely will
Yeah.
check that one out.
Stand
All right. So once you're in Nigeria, man, what's like your favorite place to go in Nigeria?
Bro, my favorite place, to be truthful, is my office. I love my office. My office is like, yeah, because my office is always bubbly. The spirit there is always positive. When there are no dull moments in my office, and then a lot of alumni come a lot. They come around. So we play, we gist, we talk, we argue, it's always fun. I love my office so much. I miss it. I miss it so much. I miss my guys. I miss the office. We call it the voice of a creep, right? It's a chilled hub where people just come, they sit down, they talk, they enjoy themselves. We have a podcast room. We have an audio recording studio. We have a workstation as well. We have a training room. So it's a crib. It just makes you feel at home. When people come in there, they just never want to leave.
And
Yeah.
I know it seems like, voiceover is your entire life, man, but what do you enjoy doing just outside of that, man? Like when you want to just chill, relax, get outside of just, being at
Well,
work.
yeah, I love to play basketball, and I love to spend time with my family. I love my family so much. I'm a family guy.
Mm,
Even though a lot of times I could be very busy, but I love my family so much. I try to spend as much time as I can with them. I love my daughters. I also try to make sure that they are well trained. I try to be there for them, though I'm not perfect. Try my best to be there for them. So yeah, outside of that, my family. I play basketball, even though I don't like to watch basketball as much as I play. Maybe before, but now I prefer to play much more than watching it.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah.
All right. I did peep on your Instagram, man, that you plan on running for office in Nigeria in 2023, man. So can
No,
you
I wasn't. What I was doing was what I wanted to do was in Nigeria. A lot of people were declaring their intention to run for office, right?
Mhm.
A lot of people were declaring to, and everybody wanted to run for president. So I'm like, why are these people? Why is everybody joking with this thing? This is a serious matter because general elections are next year, right? So I'm like, and one of the reasons why we have a lot of voter apathy in Nigeria is because a lot of people don't collect. There's a card called the PVC, right? You use the PVC to vote, right? And a lot of people in Nigeria don't, especially in the educated climb, they don't like to collect their PVCs to vote. And then the people that are not as educated as they are now elect leaders that don't work for us, that are just corrupt. And then they now start complaining. So what I did was I now decided to say, what, since it's the time for declarations, let me come out like somebody who's declaring for office and tell people to go get their PVCs. Right. That was what I did with that post. And everybody
Okay.
just was like, people thought I was running for office.
That's what I thought.
People started calling me. People said, but the truth is, let me tell you the truth. I really intend to run for office one day. I just keep thinking about it. I hope it will work because I know that I'm a leader. I know that I'm blessed to, lead people. I'm blessed to also touch the lives of people, touch especially the lives of my people, my community, Africans globally, So one day I will, most likely I will. And I'll let you know when I'm doing
Yes, sir. I'm that man. I'm definitely coming,
that.
man. Be in the palace, man.
Yeah,
I'm down, man. Even before then, but
sure.
I'm excited, man. So just if you could paint like the perfect vision of the future of everything that you're doing as far as the voiceover industry goes, and you could just paint like exactly what it is that you want this to become. Like, what is that reality for you?
Yeah, the reality for me is to build a brand that's outlives me, basically. To build a brand that outlives me, that goes from generation to generation. Like I always say, I might have started it, but I don't necessarily. Not anybody in my family has to carry the legacy, right? Any other person who is passionate about this industry and wants to see it advance can also take the legacy to the next level. That's what I'm really, really passionate about. Let the brand outlive me. I want to be able to be somewhere, maybe in my grave, whatever, 99 years later, and the VoiceOver Academy is still flourishing. The VoiceOver Solutions Group is still flourishing like yesterday. That is the test of a true legacy. That's the test of a true legacy. So that brand, not just dying a natural death, but just flourishing every single time, growing every single time. That is the ultimate vision for me. But of course, also spread globally. We are registered here in the US, but we're not we've not started business officially. We're also trying to expand to other countries to see how best we can push African voices there, because what we want to do is actually specialize for African voices, everywhere, whether it's in England or the US, Europe, whatever it is, specialized for African voices.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And just to add on, man, I would just like to be in a world where we never have to hear another fake African voice again. And that
I'm praying
authenticity. Yes, sir, man.
Yeah,
so love that.
That's it. That's it, man. Bro.
I think it's enough room, for everybody to eat, and the African American voice actors to eat and get paid, and then also the African actors to get that natural, voice in as well, man. So hopefully we can find that space.
Yeah, I'm hoping so as well. That we're given the opportunity to push that truth and that narrative. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Man, it has been more than a pleasure, man. You got me excited about Nigeria and going to Nigeria, man. Bro. So my thoughts now, man. Appreciate having you on, man, and definitely the gems on voice acting and the work that you're doing. Amazing work, and I just hope that it just continues to grow. And I just hear, you and the company more and more and more as we go by, and one of the last things we always ask our guests if they could leave us with their favorite quote and what it means to them. And I also will ask this of you too, if you want to give us an African proverb along with that as well, man. We could always benefit from that.
So there's this African proverb which I will speak in. There's something called Pidgin English in Nigeria. And that Pidgin English is basically like English, but a broken type of English. Like it's just a cultural type of English, in Nigeria. So this proverb says, "Waiting elder, they sit down, they look, right? Pikin, no fit stand up, they see am. Waiting elder, they sit down, they look. Pikin, no fit stand up, they see am." That's let me interpret that. So what an elder sees sitting down, right? A child standing up cannot see it. Now, what does that talk about? It talks about the experience and the wisdom of the elderly, right? No matter how influential or no matter how hard you've achieved anything as a young person, always remember that you stood on the shoulders of giants, right? So that's what it says. Never disrespect the wisdom of the elders, right? Because what the elders sits down to see, right? A child standing up does not see it, right? Just like if you had a car, you have a daughter, and your daughter says, "You know what? I want to drive." I think she's 8.
Yes, sir. On point.
She wants to drive, and you know that she's too young to drive. You know everything about driving before she was born, probably. And she's telling you, "No, Dad, I can drive. I can do this." Yeah. But your wisdom has told you that this girl is too little to drive. Even if she knows how to drive and she understands how to drive, she can't drive because the laws of the land doesn't permit that. 1, 2, she's not even probably tall enough to see the next car. So yeah, never ignore the wisdom of the elderly, or people that are going ahead of you.
That is amazing, man. I love African proverbs, man. It's just
they're amazing.
life gems, man.
Exactly.
Gems, man.
They teach a lot of lessons.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. All right. For those listening in that are wondering where they can find you, maybe they want some voiceover work to get better at their craft, get your book or whatever else they want. Where can they find you?
Oh, so yeah, my book is available on Amazon. The soft copies are available on Amazon. If you want the hard copy as well, you can just go on my Instagram page and click on the link in my bio to order for it. It's an amazing book. You'd love it. We also to reach me if you want me to coach you privately or you want to go to the Voiceover Academy. You could just go to Voice of Acad on Instagram, or go to voiceofacademyng.com on Instagram. You can also reach us if you want to work with us in terms of your brand. You're looking for African voices. You can go to @the Voice of a Bank on Instagram, or voiceofabank.com.ng. That's the website. So those are ways that you can get us. My personal website is thebrandmaster.me. You can reach me on there. You can send me a mail anytime, any day. So yeah, those are ways you can reach me.
Yes, sir. Again, Sean, man, thank you so much for coming through.
Yes, sir. Mr. G, thank you so much.
Yes,
I appreciate
man.
you. I appreciate your time.
Appreciate having you on, man.
Forward to having the ad, so that the podcast.
Yes, sir.
So that I can spread it for you, and let's let people hear the stories.
Yes, sir, man. I can't wait to grow and build with you, man.
Sure.
Listeners, please support the book. If you are looking for voiceover work, get the authentic African voices, please. All right.
Yes, sir.
No fake accents, authentic African voices.
Yes,
all right.
Yeah.
Let's support the reality of what Sean is trying to do, which is spread original Black voices all across the world. Mm-hmm. And these are things that we need. And please support. Follow him on Instagram. Check out the work that he's doing and get his book. And of course, remember, your mind is the most powerful tool in the universe. Therefore, if you can think it, you can do it. If you believe in it, you can be it. And if you fight for it, you can have it. The world is yours. This has been your host, Mr. G, and I will see you next time on Mastermind.
So every day I'm going hard. I'm talking business, bank accounts, and credit cards. And somehow we defeat the odds and making sure that no one starved illegal or you had a job. And when they doubted me, brought the best out of me. And women wanna holler, and fellas wanna shout at me. Voices in my head, I swear they getting kinda loud at me. And how I turn this thing into gold, see this is alchemy. They never know.